Welcome to Chats with Changemakers, the Northeast podcast for people who want to make the world a better place. Hello, and welcome to Chats with Changemakers. I'm your host, Kate Duffy. This series has been generously sponsored by the Social Enterprise Academy, who champion leadership and learning for people driving social change. Be sure to check out the links in the show notes for both accredited and non-accredited opportunities in your area. In this episode, Yulia Dzenkovska shares her journey of establishing Mint Stitches CIC, a social enterprise using cross-stitching to improve mental health and well-being, reduce social isolation, and celebrate personal and local heritage. Yulia shares her personal mission to empower individuals through creative activities, the challenges of balancing multiple roles, and the importance of strategic focus in her work. So let's hear from Yulia. Hello, Yulia.
Hey, Kate.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, I'm good, thank you. I'm super excited to have you here today. It's been a while since we've actually had a catch up, so I'm genuinely really excited to hear how things have moved forward from, crikey, a good 18 months ago now, I think, when we first sort of started chatting. So let's dive straight into you. So tell us a little bit about what is your passion, what lights you up, what's your personal mission?
Well, I always find that question really, really tough because I really envy people who can say, I care about this particular cause or I care about that particular cause. So I feel like when my journey started with a social enterprise, my main challenge was to actually find the cause really, to be like, okay, so what am I passionate about? And there was a lot of like self-discovery around that. But I think I narrowed down a little bit to actually empowering people and showing that everybody can be creative, no matter kind of their life circumstances and what they are. Because as kids, we're all thinking, oh, I'm so creative. Whatever I have made is just amazing and it's perfect. But when we grow up, we're like, oh, I can't draw a mouse. I don't know how to do it. So I feel like it's really kind of still hidden within us. So yeah, I think probably if we're talking another 18 months, it will be a different answer, but that's what it is now.
I think it's great. I think it's perfect. It captures it perfectly. And for you then, individually, are you quite a crafty person? Are you quite creative? Like, is that something that, have you got that skill, or are you a little bit like me and also can't draw a mouse?
I can't draw a mouse, but I'm okay with that. So I feel like, yeah, it's quite interesting because usually, you're either good at math or you're good at something creative. So I've always been kind of good at both of those things,
Okay.
which presented challenges because I can't pick what to focus on really. Um, but yeah, I mean, my social enterprises are all around cross stitching, and I think I've been doing that since I was like 10 years old. So for quite some time, like on and off. But there were a lot of other things I've been doing, like creative writing, and I was in art school doing fashion degree as well ages ago. Some interior design somewhere in the
Oh,
middle as well. Yeah, so I feel like it always felt like hobby though, all the creative stuff, because you always have like parents or somebody else saying, oh, it's not really like a career you can take, you need to be really thinking about, where your paycheck is coming every month. I feel like now is the first time I'm really taking it seriously, all the creative activities.
that's so cool. So tell us a little bit more then about Mint Stitches CIC. Where did that come from as an idea, and where is it now?
I think I actually got an idea when I was taking that course with you. Was it a couple years ago, something like that? And then I was thinking, okay, so what can I actually do? And I still had that challenge about like, so what is my passion? I don't know, because there were people who had very clear idea what kind of problem they want to solve. And then I think what I was looking at is also creating an enterprise which is financially sustainable and quite scalable. So at that point, I went to ChatGPT and I said, okay, so I really like cross stitching. I like AI stuff, and I want to create a social enterprise on the intersection of those two. So there were a lot of rubbish ideas, but some ideas that really made me think about, so what can I do like in terms of physical activities, but also in the digital space as well. So I'm trying to combine that. So the social enterprise is all around tapestry, cross-stitching and embroidery. And I'm looking at how it can be used kind of widely to support the sense of well-being and create social connections. But I think one of the challenges for me was that I'm going too wide, so I want to do everything. um, so I'm trying to narrow it down next year to intergenerational work and also work with people with dementia and their cares. So just focus on it, yeah, for a year.
Amazing. So you went on that course a couple of years ago. Mint Stitches is now registered. Is it running?
Yes, I've been registered for just over a year. Yeah, I registered 8th of November last year.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. So what's that journey been like so far? Has it been all smooth sailing or have there been some lessons along the way?
Yeah, I think it went really slowly in the beginning because what I was thinking, because I was trying to be a little bit risk averse. So I applied for some funding from First Port before I registered. So when I had the money, I thought, okay, now it's time to register and start doing things. But because I was still in a full-time job at the university, I didn't have a lot of time to actually move the social enterprise forward. So it was a lot about exploration, just talking to people, getting some different ideas. So I've really been focusing on it for the past few months since I left the university start of October. And I feel like that really helped me to focus because initially I was like panicking. Okay, I have half an hour. What can I do? But then there was very little like direction, I would say, to it. So I was doing bits and pieces, some workshops, um, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it took me quite some time to actually find that focus and that clarity. What do I want to focus on in the short term, and what can the organization look like in the future? Because I was quite lucky, so I got first port funding before I registered. Then I got another round after I registered, so I could do more activities. And I just got a bit more funding from a different organization just to push my retail offer forward this year, which I think is really helpful because my thinking changed from, okay, let's see what happens and what sticks, to like, okay, so these are my revenue streams. This is how they can go in the next 3 years. So what are the actual engines of growth for each of those revenue streams? And for retail, I needed stuff like a proper packaging design, and I needed obviously to buy supplies just to test different types of kits. Because if you go forward, all the suppliers are like, well, the minimum amount of an order is like 100 boxes,
Okay.
and that's where like the entire budget can just go. So yeah, I was looking for those specific opportunities because I feel like, again, in the beginning, you see some funding opportunities like, oh my God, it's not really relevant, but it's money. I should really apply for it. But I'm trying to be more strategic now because otherwise I feel like even if I get a contract or even if I get some money for something that's not really moving my organization forward, in a way, it's just a waste of time then. So yeah, I'm trying to be more strategic.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a period of time, isn't there, where in that exploration phase where you're working stuff out, that actually you can go really broad and that's
Mm,
great. But there's definitely a sifting phase then where things start to become clearer as to actually this has more impact or this is much more important to the revenue streams for the business. But yeah, I think that breadth to start off with. I think it's a phase that we all have to go through, and it takes longer for some people and short because I think you've been quite fast really going through that phase. Um,
yeah, I feel like it really helped that I had quite a lot of coaches through different programs as well. So I keep talking to people, and certain things kept coming up because I was thinking, oh, I'm doing so many things, it's amazing. But they would say, oh, you're doing a lot of different things.
yeah,
Which one is the most important one? And it really made me think and kind of narrow it down because every time it feels like you're cutting something off and it's really painful.
yeah,
But then I just changed my mentality and I said, okay, so this year, this is what we're doing. So once we have done that, next year, we can actually do that bit. But yeah.
yeah. It's almost like reverse engineering, isn't it? You've got to have that big, beautiful picture to start off with, but then be prepared to really slim it down to just get kind of like, yeah, that first stepping stone in place. Um, which I love that idea of it being that, yeah, it's maybe just not yet, that's something that as you continue to grow, it'll come back into focus. So how are
Yeah.
you balancing all of this then, Yulia? You've left your job at the university, because you've got multiple hats, haven't you, that you wear? I know that Mint Stitches is one of the organisations you run. Are you balancing that with other organisations, or have all of your activities come under the one?
Yeah, so I still have three hats, I would say. So my first company that's been running for 4 years, I think now. So that's not a social enterprise. It's a limited liability company, but I've been doing some social impact activities as well. For example, offering free training through it, and I'm looking at other opportunities. So that one is around AI, upskilling AI training. So I'm running a lot of workshops. And the balancing act for me now is that the social enterprise is not really bringing me any revenue at this point. So I was able to cover my salary from some funding for a few months. But what's feeding me is my AI consultancy at the moment. So the balancing act is not to take too much work in the AI so that I still have time for the social enterprise, but to take enough work so that I have the salary coming in every month. So that's a bit of balancing. But what I realized is that there is actually quite a lot of synergy there as well. So, for example, since I'm BIPC expert, quite a lot of my clients were people that I got to know through the Changemakers community or through the social enterprise kind of conversations around that. Um, so that's been quite helpful. And yeah, I'm running a project, so maybe it's relevant for somebody as well. It's helping visitor economy organizations to upskill in AI.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking, okay, so actually I'm learning about the visitor economy now in my AI project, and I can apply that to my social enterprise to create potentially tourist experiences as
Oh,
well. So I've been having a chat with Simon, who's an expert on tourism and visitor economy at BIPC, to kind of try to shape it a little bit. But what I'm also doing, I'm a trustee for one of the local charities, it's Natural History Society of Northumbria, but known as we own the Hancock Museum because nobody really kind of it's not the brand that's well known in the region, even though we're almost 100 years old.
cool.
Yeah, so I'm learning a lot about how they're running the charity, and I'm trying to apply the same principles to working with the volunteers that I have in my social enterprise. But also, I'm AI lead as well, which is probably not surprising. So I'm learning a lot about so the conversations about AI in the charity sector are quite different from the for-profit one. And again, I'm feeding it back into my practice in both companies, if it makes sense. So I think by actually prioritizing certain projects and directions, I can create more synergy and create that depth of expertise that keeps growing instead of going too wide and like, yeah, sure, you're paying, you can do anything you want.
Oh, we've all been there as well.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. So, on your journey so far, Yulia, have there been any lessons that you've had or that you want to share with us from along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I keep talking about focus and prioritization, but I think it's really, really important. I don't think it's just me kind of trying to do everything. Because what I see is sometimes what the social enterprises, but even other businesses look like is not what they actually are. Because sometimes there might be a lot of activity happening, and I'm thinking, oh, they're doing really great because they constantly booked and so on. But when they look at the end of the year of their financial accounts, it's not really reflected that they're successful in there. They're just kind of going through the motions. So they might be doing some social impact, but at the end of the day, they're really exhausted. Um, so yeah, I think finding that balance is quite important. So yeah, I think my advice would be just to prioritize like crazy, really to build those competences. Because as a marketeer, I can say if you prioritize a particular direction and you build the expertise there, that's your USP, the unique selling right proposition that not everybody will have. So I've been working on that. And also I feel like obviously this podcast is kind of done partially to connect people and to let people know what other people are doing. And I found networking and just conversations really, really helpful. Because I know that English people don't like selling, but it's not about selling. It's just like, oh, so what are you doing? And what am I doing? And trying to find those points of kind of common interests. So when I was talking about the work I want to do with people with dementia and their cares, I found there was a lot of resonance. And I keep having those conversations and kind of building my understanding of the problem areas, if it makes sense. So I think the constant learning and being prepared for that, because it's a steep learning curve, is really, really important, because I had my assumptions about what people want, how it's going to work, and they've been completely put on the head, really. Which is a good thing, because I would rather learn before I move forward instead of trying to do something that doesn't really work for the people you are trying to help. So yeah, I would say probably that. Yeah, focus on the learning curve.
Perfect. Yulia, I can't wait to see how things have developed in another 18 months' time. We'll be sure to check back around with you. And hear how those sort of different departments within Mint Stitches are all working together. But we always finish this podcast with an opportunity for a call to action. So, how can we support you in your mission, or support one of many of your organizations at this moment?
Oh, that's that's a question, because I feel like I'm used to doing everything by myself, as do a lot of change makers. But I would say just connect with me, have a chat. And if the people who are watching the podcast or listening, if they know somebody who has dementia, or they know the people who are the carers for people with dementia, I would really like to have a chat, just to understand the problem area, because I keep learning about that a lot. I will have a project with Alzheimer's Society in South Tyneside, the other side of Christmas, which I'm hoping it will be a learning experience for me as well, and just testing out some things. But yeah, just connect. I think one of the links that I sent over was signing up to the newsletter. So that would be absolutely fantastic, because I keep running free workshops now and then. And I feel like sometimes we just need that safe space to just try things out without any pressure. We're not trying to evaluate anybody's work, and just chill. And we had the best stories kind of coming up about people. There was a lady who used to live in Liverpool, and when the Beatles were quite famous, they got the phone number of Paul McCartney's auntie, and they kept calling him.
Well,
So, yeah, we had amazing stories like that. Yeah.
comes out when you cross stitching.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I read about the role of embroidery, like historically, in the women's life. There is a lot of like political power discourse and all of those things, but the best conversations seem to be happening when women would get together and do the crafting in the evenings, which I think we don't do anymore so much, unfortunately.
Yeah, interesting. And Yulia, just a quick question. Do you do this? So is this Northeast? Is it international? Like how can people connect in with you and access the programs that you deliver?
Yeah, so for now, the physical delivery is limited to the Northeast.
Okay.
I'm working both sides of the river. Really, it all depends on the funding and like how much time I have. But once we launch the digital platform, that will be the worldwide one. Um, we're still moving from the MVP that kind of works to the actual system that we can charge for. But yeah, the plan is to go wider, because again, I feel like some stuff that sometimes you post on the social media and there is not a lot of response, but what you really need is one person to whom that post is speaking. Because I was posting a little bit about dementia, and I have like a Danish care home specializing on care for people with dementia following me. So I'm building up the expertise a little bit to start having those conversations, because unfortunately it's a growing market, and yeah, there are a lot of issues around supporting the carers as well, not just people who are affected by dementia themselves.
Interesting. Well, thank you ever so much for your time, Yulia. And we will
Okay, Kate.
watch and see what happens over the next few years. Yeah, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kate.
Mint Stitches is a really interesting organisation because it blends Yulia's love of AI and creativity. You can find out much more about their activities using the links provided, But do go ahead and check out their eBay and Etsy store, where you can find accessible kits for both beginners and advanced crafters. So a really easy way to connect and support this social enterprise. There were a few big takeaways from Yulia's chat. One being that she didn't have this obvious call to action that sometimes we assume that change makers must just have, like a bolt of lightning, that the mission that I was put on this earth to do was. And I wanted to pick up on this because I think there are more of us that have had to work on developing our mission than those that just, it's been obvious from them being 2 years old. So Yulia she mentioned that she attended the Business with Purpose program. And this was led by Junction Point. We used a tool called Ikigai. So this is Japanese philosophy. Go ahead and look it up. But ultimately, it looks at kind of 4 key principles. What are you good at? What do you love? What does the world need? And what can you get paid to do? And it asks you a series of questions to try and help you get closer to what your purpose could be, that is utilizing your passion, your skills in a way that means that you are also contributing to society and hopefully responding to what the world needs, whilst equally paying the bills, because that's going to happen too. So that can be a nice tool to use if you are feeling stuck at that point on your journey. I just wanted to reiterate that Yulia's story is not unusual. For myself, before I set up Junction Point CIC, it was a journey that I went on too, in terms of really working out where could I have the most impact for all of this stuff that's going on in the world. So hang on in there, take the time. Don't just jump on to the first thing that makes you feel that you're doing something good. Take the time to really think through, where can your time and your effort be put to the most good? So that was one of the key things that I wanted to pick up from Yulia's talk. She also talked about being led by her community in both designing programs, but also identifying who her community needs to be. I think this is really, really important. And it's something that I think as a sector we're getting better at, that it's becoming the norm rather than the best practice example. So I love the idea that Yulia's approach is that we absolutely aren't going to know it all. And it's so much better to learn together than get it wrong and have to either apologize or backpedal. So this inquisitive growth mindset way of working in the long run is going to be producing long-standing supporters for your organization, but ultimately it's going to be creating a much better product or service that is meeting the needs of the mission that you have in mind. So whilst it can take longer, and like Yulia said, feel like you're doing all this breadth of stuff in all these different areas to start off with, that is a really important part of the process, because then it becomes clearer as to which clear paths you need to take for your organization. So if you've been inspired by Yulia or would like to know more about her work, then please do check out all of the links for Yulia in the show notes. You could also subscribe to Chats with Changemakers for more brilliant interviews like this one. And don't forget to join the free Northeast Changemakers community to connect with more people just like Yulia. A huge thank you to Social Enterprise Academy for supporting this series and for their commitment to helping people to grow the skills and the confidence to create real, lasting change. Catch you next time. If you've been inspired by what you've heard today, come and join our free Northeast Changemakers community to meet like-minded people and start your journey to changing the world.